Swing around to look at the clown. Don't you hang around. You're gonna make him cry. He's not gonna laugh a while. Oh boy, it's too early in the morning for to know how to rhyme for some reason. I'm not too good at the rhyming that when it's too early in the morning. Only on my first cup of coffee here, people. But yeah. So I just got cut off from the last video. It was the graveyard over there. I was getting into my one of my one of my ghoulish ghost stories that I'd experienced in my illustrious past. So let's get into it. I just was starting my ghost story when the camera seems to only want to film for a half hour at a time. So that's fine. I got some other material on there, a little graveside recital and whatnot. So instead, we're gonna do the ghost story now as I walk home, and then I head to breakfast. Probably gonna go to Market Basket. Because they got a good breakfast, good lunch. You can get a good deal in this inflated inflation times. Yep, we're facing it because you had to have your Biden. You had the last laugh and had to have your last laugh, and it turned out you're crying all the way to the fucking bank, your empty bank account. But anyway, so damn, I always make it political. Once you get caught up in these politics, kids, I'm warning you, it's like a drug. You get addicted. Freaking heroin. You need that shit. Especially when you know you're right. And the world thinks you're wrong. But, the pendulum swings, baby. And it's swinging back to the right. But hard. And then when we catch that damn pendulum, we're nailing it to the wall and you ain't getting it back. So anyways, hey, there's a little scat. Little animal scat. That looks like wild animal scat. I don't know what the hell that is, but I hope it ain't still around. No, it ain't that big. But anyways, so the ghost story, right? Here we are at the hanging tree. Now we just hang kids. We swing them. You'll swing for this, kid. But yeah, So in any case, this ghost story took place in around 1990, 91 or so. Me and a bunch of other young bucks, probably in our late teens, early 20s. We're driving around looking for something to do. I don't know whose car. I don't know who I was in the car with. I'd say it was about 5 to 6 people. 5 at least, 6 at most. Probably held about 6 tops anyway. 4-door or whatever. We're in New Jersey, where I born and raised. Hadn't left yet the state. I don't think at that time. And we're just looking for something to do. I know we were riding along, playing a game where you turn your headlights out and you drive as far as you can without frickin' wrapping yourself around a tree, because it was back roads. All the homes were set far back from the main road, winding road through the woods. And all you see is their mailboxes. You wouldn't even see the lights of the homes in most cases because their driveways are so long into the woods, right? So all you see is these mailboxes. Lights are on, lights are off. Oh, we're almost dead! Yay! I don't know how I survived half the shit I lived through, but except due to my guardian angels, let me take this moment now to thank them graciously. But in any case, back to the story. I'm sitting in the back seat with 2 other people. I believe they were both girls. Yeah, it was like, ratio more girls than guys, but that's the way I had it back then, because you could tell I'm not much to look at these days. But baby, oh, you should have seen me in the 80s and 90s. Ah, you missed out, kid. But in any case, so we're back there. We're going about 30 miles an hour. It is raining. Our headlight, as we're winding a corner, our headlight comes upon just another mailbox, and yet, within seconds' time, my eyes lock into this mailbox, which normally would have just my eyes would have been diverted to the next, you know, nonsensical thing, just careening along, and but no, I locked into this mailbox because why? What was there that caught my attention? Oh, nothing but a little girl just freaking crouched under the mailbox. Sort of like this. I don't know if you can see my whole body, but okay. Whoa! Put you a little further away there, kid, because that's technology. You like that? But she was crouched like this. Yeah, just like that. See my body, how my knees are? And just under the mailbox, almost as this little mailbox, on a stick, that type of mailbox. Like that was her shelter. Like she'd get inside of it if she could, but she was underneath it for shelter. And she was wearing a gown, something of a gown, white. I remember that. When anytime before or after becomes, I would have never remembered anything from this time had it not been for this ghost sighting, which allegedly, because we can't know for sure, we'll never know for sure, because I didn't tell you the full story yet, but so we don't slow down to her because the driver didn't see her. So me and luckily one other person saw her, and then we drive by her, and I'm looking around the car to see if anybody's got a look on their face like they just saw a ghost, so I can say, "Did you see that?" Sure enough, it went down that way, and somebody else looked troubled. I said, "You saw that? What'd you see?" I didn't say, "Did you see a little girl?" Or, because I would have let her. I wanted to see what she saw. Sure enough, it was. I don't know if she saw, but she confirmed she saw a little kid under the mailbox. And then we did decide to turn around, as we did, turn the car around and go back to see if she was still there. We were only maybe 3-4 more mailboxes up the road when we said, no, let's go back. Maybe further up, because we talked about it. It was like, well, what the fuck? And, but she was gone by the time we went back. And it was, like I said, raining, way late at night. No reason for a little girl of about the look she looked like, I don't know, 10, 11 at the most, 8 at the least, and of age. And let's see. And that was it. That's the ghost story. There's just no reason. I do believe, I want to say I see her in her mind, my mind. That whenever you have a paranormal experience that's so genuine, so like truly jolting to your sights, it's life altering. It's almost like a near death experience. It just gets ingrained into your brain where I can still see her like I'm seeing her that moment. But anytime before or after, it just begins to blur to nothing because that moment would have just been forgotten entirely in my damaged brain for sure, had it not been for seeing her, And I honestly believe that if she was a human, a living human, she was an abused kid trying to get away from her abuser in the house that mailbox belonged to, perhaps, and waiting for someone to get home or something. I don't know, maybe waiting for the police. I don't. Or it was a ghost that it just looked haunting. She was glowing, She looked ethereal, but she looked solid at the same time, fairly solid. And So that's that ghost story. Take it up your ass or shove it down your throat, wedge it up in your ear. I don't care what you do with it. Ain't doing me no good. I figure I'd just tell you about it. But here's a little island here in the middle of the river. This is yards from where I live in Maine. It's not the most beautiful town. It's actually one of those towns that, oh, you live in a. You live in a. But no, it's a beautiful little town. Yeah, I'm sure it was much more beautiful back in the day. I think the 50s was the last ideal time for anywhere here in America. Oh, the 50s, that's when there was so much oppression. Yeah, shut the fuck up. We were working on that. America was much stronger. Men were men, women were women. I don't know what to tell you. But, I don't know, it was 20 years before I left. But I'd rather, you know, I think I'm born again, reincarnated, so that's another reason why I'm so nostalgic for a time before my own. And I'm so patriotic and, you know, so nationalistic. Oh boy. Now that was a bridge right here. This was a bridge that crossed to the mills. It came over here through here. Yeah, there's all sorts of bridges along here. Back in the industrious period. You know, you think back, oh, it was so much nicer and cleaner back in the 1800s. No, that was, in some places, that was the dirtiest time environmentally, you know. And we've improved since then in some ways, but with greater power and greater industries, more powerful industries become, you know, we've also been more damaging in some ways than other places. But plastic's got to go, you know, or we got to be far less dependent on plastic and more into biodegradables. So, you know, so call your senator and let him know. All right, this has been Ray's Chilling Ghost Tales. And, you know, now go to bed with the ghost girl under the mailbox in your head. God love you.